Hi, welcome to the Men's Forum. I'm your host, Gary Costanza. And tonight's show, we're titling Kids Need Both Parents, in honor of a convention that John and I here attended up in Albany called LEAD, the Legislative Education and Awareness Day. And I'd like to first welcome John to the show. My co-host, John McGrath.
Hey, Gary. Great to be here again. That was an awesome trip, wasn't it?
It sure was.
Great experience we had. We went up to Albany for, like Gary said, the Legislation Education Awareness Day. And we were joined by a bunch of other fathers' rights groups and concerned groups trying to lobby to get shared parenting bills passed here in the state of New York. And it was a good experience. It was a great turnout. It was good to see all those people who were there turned out for that, right?
I'm so thankful that we went also. We also went with another colleague of was Roy Carlson, who's going to join us in a little bit. But what was great was that we were able to film the whole thing. And there were a number of politicians that I was really impressed with. David Siddickman, an assemblyman who's sponsoring some great fathers' rights legislation. Who else was there? Another assemblyman, Jack McEnany. Actually, we're probably going to show some of these other film clips maybe in a future show.
Yeah, well, Owen Johnson also, because, well, they all have similar bills that are on the floor right now that we were trying to bring some awareness to. We're trying to get shared parenting bills passed because naturally the family court system in New York State is just so horrendously out of proportion.
Well, as Mr. Siddickman will say later, it's broken.
It's broken,
It's
right?
broken.
And it needs to be fixed. And we're going to fix it. Maybe not right away, but we're going to fix it. We're going to give it a tireless effort to make sure that it gets done. The bill is very important. I mean, it's been on the floor for the longest time. And we need support. We need people to support these bills.
What I really liked is that a lot of these, there's a number of groups that in the past have just been doing things on their own, but now we seem to be coming together, and we're coming under one umbrella in a number,
Right. Good point. Everybody, right? Everybody, all these groups that are from as far up as Albany to as far out as Montauk, Long Island, are finally uniting and getting together and teaming up there and putting a complete effort, unified effort, to make a difference. And it was great to see all the people that were at this convention in Albany on April 1st. And I can't even tell you how many people were there. I couldn't count them all. I couldn't count them.
It was great. Yeah. Well, anyway, we're going to show, we have about a 10-minute film clip of David Siddickman. This is really a very empowering speech. But I did want to name some of these groups. Actually, we'll give some of their websites at the end of the show. But the Coalition of Fathers and Families, the American Coalition of Fathers and Children, and actually, there was this other group that had a petition up at the convention that we all signed, and I would like to pass on to our viewers where to find that. It's called the Family Law Reform Now, and it's a petition, and it's at familylawreformnow.org.
So go to the website. Go to the website, sign on it, read the petition, look at it, support it, sign on it. We need your help. We need your support.
Very important. This is not some, this is very simple legislation, very simple reforms that we want done. What it is shared parenting.
Right, exactly.
An end to this adversarial winner-takes-all family court system.
Apparently we've created a monster here with the way the system is set up now. I mean, there's a winner and a loser. And you know what? The kids are the losers. The kids are the ones who are losing, not the mother or the father, okay? But that's the way the system is set up, so that there's a bounty put on the children's heads, that all of a sudden, instead of having an amicable situation where it would benefit in the best interest of the child to have a congenial divorce, it stacks one against the other, and all sorts of underhanded things go on, and the children are the ones who suffer the repercussions of the result of this. And that's what this bill is designed to do. And well, when you see the tape, listen to what Senator Assemblyman Siddickman has to say. Very, very, like Gary said, very empowering, very important piece. You'll enjoy it.
Let's go to the tape.
He's given us over the years, and I would ask you to give a warm welcome to David Sittigman. David, if you'd stand up and say. Fasten your seatbelts. I'm here to talk about my bill. The bill is a very simple one. It declares that parents are parents forever. And that when, unfortunately, there is a divorce, and you're in the Supreme Court of the state of New York, the judge must, as a first option, decree shared parenting unless there is a showing of unfitness on either side. At that point, the judge is permitted in the bill to declare sole custody. And what does shared parenting mean, and what will it mean when this eventually becomes law? It means basically joint decision-making. It means that both parents will have a say in the child's education, health care, religious upbringing, and any other problem that comes along involving the child. The other part is habitation. The bill does not say that there has to be 50-50 habitation. It could be anything that you agreed upon. And that brings me to the second part of it, which states that you cannot get a divorce in the state of New York unless you submit to the court a parenting plan. That means that you have to stop fighting long enough to sit down and work out a plan for the child. That plan will include how many weeks or months the child will live with each parent. The court will not decree divorce until the parenting plan is adopted. If there's too much acrimony and you cannot agree on a plan, then you go to mediation, or you go to a counselor, you go to an attorney, you go to someone who can help you create this plan. Why do we need this law in the state of New York? Because the system is broken. Because it is the policy of the state of New York to tear a child from one of its parents, to rip that child away from the love and comfort of that parent, all under the name of it's in the best interests of the child. Who's defining what the best interest of the child is? Who's the Moses? Who's the man in the mountain who's saying, well, this is for the best interest of the child, to see to it that this child doesn't have the benefit of one of its parents? The system is broken. It has produced children who are at risk. Drugs, alcohol, crime, underperformance in school, and suicide. Not only suicide of the children who don't have the benefit of the parent, but the suicide of a non-custodial parent. We have one suicide a month in Nassau County, and hundreds throughout the country. because men and women are being deprived of the company of their children. The system is broken when you can have the highest court in this state say it's in the best interest of the child to permit the custodial parent to take the child 400 or 500 miles away.
No good.
How can that be?
No good.
How can that possibly be? It's broken when the highest court in the state says the judge has the authority to decree joint custody or shared parenting, but only if the two sides are getting along. Well, why are they getting divorced in the first place? America's hero, the man who led New York City through the crisis, the attack of 9/11, Rudy Giuliani was denied joint custody of his kids.
Wow.
And they're older children. They're not infants, they're not babies, they're older children. Can you imagine that? What chance do you have if Rudy Giuliani can't get joint custody of his children? The system is broken. However, you guys have to organize. You have to become a political force because that's all that anybody understands. There should be an umbrella organization where all parts come together with a central leadership. I know money's a problem, but you have to raise some money to hire a lobbyist, to hire a publicist, to get this issue out in the public, to get on the Oprah Winfrey Show or any other national show to bring this problem to the public. Because, I hate to tell you folks, everything is politics. There are 30,000 people out there, Local 1199 of the SEIU. They're here to protest the budget that the governor has presented. You think they're being heard? You bet your life they're being heard. They are a political force. And that's what you have to become. I'm going to give you one little bit of news. There are certain courts throughout the country that are beginning to look at this as a constitutional issue. I have a paper here that says the Journal of Law and Family Studies of the University of Utah College of Law. Parental rights and due process. Parental rights and equal protection of the law. Now, I have been informed that there will be lawsuits instituted in New York State, and it's got to be done at the federal level. The state courts aren't going to help you at all until eventually this issue gets to the Supreme Court of the United States and let them say that sole custody is a violation of the Constitution of the United States. It's a denial of due process. There was a study out of Maryland, and I spoke to the guy who wrote the study about the efficacy of joint custody. There is a research paper just published in the Journal of Family Psychology that showed that children in joint custody were as well adjusted as children in intact families and better adjusted than children in sole custody arrangements. The scientific, the data is there. We know this. We want to change our children's lives for the better. We want to save children's lives. So I'll make you a pledge. How old is Strom Thurmond? I'm going to stay here, if I have the health and the strength, until we get this done. Because this law will be my legacy as a legislator. Thank you very much.
You just can't describe it. It was,
Well, I mean, you don't expect to hear such genuine empathy from a politician.
Yeah, right.
But wow, I was impressed with him.
Right. Two very critical points that he made was that he wants to implement a parenting plan, which will level the ball field,
Exactly.
level the playing field, and you know, which is, if you think about it, is the best thing for the kids.
Exactly.
Nobody gets hurt.
John, we got Roy who's joining us. Roy, welcome.
Roy Carlson. Hey, Roy.
Put your mic on, buddy.
Back.
Yeah,
As we said earlier, the three of us went to this legislative session, and we had a ball.
We did. Yeah, I thought it was great. I think it's very important that more men and women are welcome too to get involved in this father's rights, because of course women, we all come from a father, and they're very vital in the family upbringing and a child's, you know, life. And with this system, they've been blocked out of it, and there's a lot of difficulty for some men reaching their children, and it's just a horrible condition that seems to prevail in family court, and it's got to come to a close.
Well, hopefully it will come to a close as soon as we get the legislation. Just like Assemblyman Siddickman said, and he's a Democrat from Nassau County, by the way.
Right.
Okay, in case you know, you live in Nassau County, so you can stop by his office whenever he's in town and knock on his door and say hello. Write him letters, call his office, and stop by and bring him donuts.
Well,
you know.
The system is broken.
Or whoever your legislator is.
That's right.
Because, well, Mr. Siddickman already, you know, we don't want to preach to the choir. I mean, of course, we want to tell him that we support him, of course, but we want our own legislators, who maybe are sitting on the fence on it, to tell them what's important to us. And guess what? Men vote, and we're half the population, and a lot of divorced men, which are many millions, are angry.
Well,
angry.
I certainly am one, and I know my couch at home is quite comfortable, and I enjoy sitting on it, but we unfortunately, we have to get off the couch, band together, try to make some noise, a thing that is just so unjust. So many areas people have, like Mothers Against Drunk Driving. When that first started, it was like a little bumper sticker that was a joke and meant nothing, but they certainly culminated quite a movement with their anti-drinking campaign, and I'm sure they saved a lot of lives with that, which is fine, and they've really brought that to the forefront.
Right, it's a worthwhile cause to support a bill like this. And just as Assemblyman Siddickman had stated, we are unifying all over the state. That's what the purpose of this whole thing was. And now all we need to do now is generate more funds for a lobbyist and to become a political force, just like he had stated.
Wow.
We've already broken ground in the national television show area. We've had National Coalition of Free Men. A couple of our colleagues have been.
We're on Donahue.
We're on Phil Donahue's show, right, with Phil Donahue on CNBC.
As we've shown some of those clips on one of our shows.
Right, on previous segments. And we're not stopping there because...
well, we just landed the John Walsh show, right, John?
John Walsh show, yes. Gary and I were, we got back from Albany, and I'd say 24 hours later, we were in New York City taping a show with John Walsh about similar problems.
And John got up, and he was so eloquent. John, you were great, I have to say.
Nice guy.
You really spoke your mind. You really covered it from the audience, and I have to say, you really made the show.
I think we put a spin on. I think we did put a good spin on the aura of that whole presentation.
Exactly.
I think it'll leave people with a good impression as to what's really going on and who's really suffering.
Well, we will cover that clip in another show, and we'll discuss that, how that all went. But that is very important, that we have to get political, we have to get national exposure, and we do have to band together.
Right. And what do you have the name of the group? The doctor. The doctor has already started a fundraising campaign.
Stephen Walker.
Stephen Walker.
Stephen Walker. He is excellent. My God, he's an attorney. He's affiliated with the president of the National Coalition of Free Men, Ed Stevens, and they're really getting legislation pushed through. Actually, it's related to this petition that we mentioned before at FamilyLawReformNow.org, where in a couple of other states, the child support enforcement laws were ruled unconstitutional.
Unconstitutional,
Was
that's
that
right.
in Ohio? Was that the
Ohio is the last pending state, I believe, right? The legislation is still pending on that?
I think one was Tennessee.
Tennessee, Georgia, and I think Ohio was the one that they're waiting on. Because our attorneys, our friends who are attorneys in our groups, our membership, have put together the legal briefs right now to bring that same issue to the appellate division in New York State right here. So this is a very, very big step that we're looking at right here. So as soon as the Ohio case comes to a close and is settled, the New York State case is going to be underway.
He was Stephen Walker was very eloquent. We are going to put a clip of him on some future show, because another one of these lawsuits that he's bringing is also that the sole custody provision of New York State, in particular, is unconstitutional, denying equal protection.
That's right.
For fathers.
That's right. I believe it violates the First, Fourth, Fifth, Ninth, and 14th Amendment to the Constitution.
My God.
And that's a lot of amendments to be violated.
And guess what? We've said this before in many previous shows. The answer to all this craziness is shared parenting, presumed shared parenting, as Mr. Siddickman said. Absent any abuse, presumed shared custody.
I
and
agree.
there's not going to be any child support payments, because there's no need to be.
I don't see how you could seek, why I should even have to have tried to seek custody that was something that was really already mine, and I have to ask permission.
Exactly.
And it's bizarre.
It's sort of your God-given right.
I love my child. I want to be an active parent, and the court is saying so with some caveats. Yes, okay, but on every other weekend, or this,
It's a bunch of bureaucratic nonsense.
It's
That's why
horrific.
It's set up to make money. It's set up to drain you and your wife or your ex-spouse of all your assets. It's basically what it does. It's all it does. And it ruins your relationship between each other and the children are the ones who suffer.
Well, I certainly had fond memories of my dad, and I'm certainly glad I was able to spend time, in a normal household with him and not estranged from him.
Well, everything is normal until you step into a court in New York State, unfortunately. And the only thing I can make you feel better is that you're not alone.
I know.
It's not even New York. It's become a national problem. I mean, it's happening all over the country. And
exactly. But of course, New York is so primitive. We are one of the last holdouts to even offer joint custody.
Right. Yeah, right. So my judge looked at me and said, frankly, don't even try it.
Well, how about this? Mr. Siddickman said it. Giuliani couldn't even get joint custody. Probably the most popular, most powerful man in New York State. They told him, take a hike.
Well, he's a hero of mine in a sense, because I think he's a great leader, very wise man. He was very active with breaking up the mob. He was a gutsy guy. And
he was an asset to the community.
Yeah,
without a doubt.
Yes, and I liked him a great deal. And he was my the banner. I was saying, gee, he doesn't even. I'm going through it at the same time he is.
Yeah.
And the most powerful man of New York City. I mean, he doesn't get it.
No. As soon as he walks into that family court.
I mean, they wanted to keep him mayor longer on. The people wanted him, but
Right.
his family has got trouble.
What I don't like is the attitude that, well, of course, when you have this winner-takes-all, system, some mothers resort to dirty pool, dirty tactics,
Right.
because they don't want to lose. Okay,
Right.
let's say, look, okay, you have two very loving parents, and certainly the father doesn't want to lose. The mother doesn't want to lose either.
Right, well,
so here's this war.
That's because the system, the way it is now, creates a bounty, and it puts a bounty on the children's
Right.
head. The
Exactly.
children now become the weapon of choice, okay? And it's wrong. It is all
And we
wrong.
should also stress, of course, that every one of us knows, and also these politicians know, the main driving force behind this is in the real best interest of the children.
right. That's
By far, children do best when they're involved in both parents' lives.
Absolutely. I feel emasculated. It's like I have to ask for, yes, there are set times when I could legally see my child, but I have to ask, may I see my child an hour longer?
Right. Well,
May I,
Well, what's even worse than that is they take the generalities that you're talking about, and then they throw in the abuse excuse. Fathers will be accused of child abuse, whether it be physical or sexual. You have mothers who constantly, they say that, oh no, well, I don't think he's safe with his father because he plays too rough with him. Well, guess what? Dr. Ed Stevens, who's president of National Coalition of Free Men in New York, okay, the New York chapter, has done studies on this, and he can attest to the fact that rough play between father and child teaches social skills.
Sure.
It sure does.
Okay?
Yeah.
The
Safe
children
rough
benefit.
play is good.
There's more studies, and the courts are well aware of this. They're just ignoring it. You know why? Because it's not politically correct. Interaction with a father is probably more important than a mother. The study that they just did about nurturing, the newborn infant, when the mother is in the hospital, if you take a newborn, actually Stephen Walker did this study, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If you take a newborn infant and hand it to the mother, the body releases a natural chemical pheromone, and it's like a natural bonding agent that the child recognizes the mother. This can be done in darkness, blind, or whatever, just that chemical reaction.
Right.
Well, studies have just proven and blown that whole theory out of the water that the mother is the nurturing parent. Because when you take the same newborn child and hand it to the father, that same
which is
hormone
what happened
is
in my
released.
case.
Right.
That same hormone
bonding.
is released.
Yeah, certainly.
Right.
Well, look, we're running out of time. Any last words you guys want to maybe?
Yeah, I
Did
would,
you
Darius,
give-
if I could take the minute, because thanks for mentioning the John Walsh Show piece that we have coming up. That should be airing on NBC, prime time, I believe, 11 o'clock in the morning on Channel 4. You can go to the John Walsh
website.
I
think
and check
it's,
for the
was it
listing.
johnwalshtv.com or I'm not sure.
.info, yeah, or .tv, johnwalsh.tv,
Okay, all right,
or NBC for that matter.
Okay.
And you can check for the listing. I believe the piece is called Child Support, and it's very, very, very powerful piece. And I commend John Walsh for
Same
what
here,
he's done
same here.
in every aspect of
Yep.
of our children. But this piece really hits home because we had a personal interest in it.
Certainly. Good night.